virtually every transaction ever done has financing attached to it. Even most cash buyers end up getting some kind of financing down the road. So having great lenders in your toolbox is critical. And I came across a lender I wasn't familiar with, but saw her and I watched her impact the marketplace. I wanted to introduce myself to her as well as to you guys. Tressa Pope with TPG Mortgage Lending. Tressa, how you doing?
I'm great. I'm great. Thank you, Bill. Thank you so much for reaching out.
Now, you're based in Burbank, California?
Yes, I'm in Burbank, California, which is sort of a suburb of Los Angeles.
And give me an idea how long you've been in the business and what brought you into mortgage lending?
Sure. So I actually moved to California for acting, as a lot of people do. They want to be Hollywood stars. And I started temping at a mortgage company. So
Wow.
yeah, so I started temping at Countrywide Home Loans, which is, long since forgotten. But yeah, I just was a clerk. I started as a loan processor, worked my way up to underwriter, team lead, operations manager, and then got my license to be a loan officer in 2015.
Wow. Wow. So 2015, you became a loan officer, and in the last 9 years, you've seen a lot.
Oh, yeah. Yes, yes.
So
it's been a great learning experience.
So, obviously I started as a mortgage loan officer probably before you were born in 1986. So I've seen a thing or two as well. So what would you say has changed the most since you got into business in 2015?
Oh, since 2015. I mean, I originally got into the business back in, what was it, like 2000. And we had 9/11, which kind of rocked even the mortgage world there. And I think a lot of things that have changed has been tech. Because of tech, we see consumers be able to get a lot of information online, apply for mortgages online, and really do a lot of what they perceive as DIY. So, by doing things a lot online. And I think what people need to remember is that this being one of the largest purchases of your life, you're still going to have some human touch.
You use the phrase DIY, and I find that interesting. I've never thought of it that way, but it is in a lot of ways like DIY. There are some people who can do a home remodeling on their own through YouTube videos and manage that task and do well. I'm not one of them. And so if I did, it looked like a DIY project. I tried my own. You'd have all kinds of stuff sticking out and not fitting properly, and the whole thing would fall apart. That's a really good analogy. So how often are customers over-informed or wrongly informed versus properly informed?
Well, I think with social media, I mean, I just talked to a future buyer the other day who I've been talking to for several years. Hey, it's time for you to explore buying a home, getting into the market, because I work with a lot of people that are in the entertainment business. And this is someone who now, has produced a few shows, has a little nest egg now. It's ready for him to explore real estate. And he decided not to call until he saw something on TikTok. Oh, I now saw something on TikTok. Now I should get into the market. So I think with the rise in information on social media through Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, people are leaning more on that as valid information when it comes to investing, real estate, and how to manage their money. And I don't know if that's the safest way to really be educated on things like that.
So interesting point. I would agree with you 100%. In fact, I have a podcast on how almost all information is wrong and how it misleads people. So what do you do? I mean, I know the answer partially. I saw you do an interview on another YouTube, and that's why I grabbed you up to get you on mine, because I want you to be available for my customers to be educated. So what do you do to help educate your marketplace so that they'll make the right decisions and operate in an effective manner?
I really get to know them individually. So I think there's, I myself put videos out there to educate people on the generalities of buying a home, financing a home, but it really comes down to whether you be real estate agent or loan officer, you're a fiduciary. So you really need to know the individual person where they're coming from, what their financial situation is, and what their goals are, because everybody has different goals, different dreams, and to have a plan for them and educate them, you need to know those things.
I think you right ahead that it's all individual, right? The
Mhm.
right strategy is the right strategy for you. It's not the right strategy for everybody. And I think you have to figure out where you are, your risk tolerance, and how much you get involved, and so on. So tell me a little bit about TPG mortgage lending. Are you independent? Are you affiliated with a larger company? And then how do you use that to service your customers' needs and address the market?
Yes, so TPG stands for the Pope Group. So that is my last name, Pope. I work alongside my husband, who's also a licensed loan officer, and we're independent mortgage brokers, and we work under the umbrella of Arbor Financial. Arbor Financial is um, located in Santa Ana, California. So that's where their headquarters are, but they have loan officers and independent branches and mortgage brokers across the country.
Wow. And that seems to be a more common format today than it was when I was in business. You had banks and savings and loans, and then you had national mortgage bankers, and everybody operated under the name of the company. And nowadays it seems that most loan officers operate under their own marketing as well as independent. So that comes as an opportunity for you to build your brand, but responsibility. What do you do to help you build your brand and your presence as opposed to flying the flag of another company?
Yes, so social media helps with that. Also, really networking with individual people like you, Bill. So, networking by appearing on podcasts or YouTube interviews. I participate in networking groups as well. And then my message is always just presenting myself as an individual. So, I've worked with many real estate agents and customers who they have no idea where I work, and that's been that way since 2015. So they say, I know Tressa Pope, and I'm working with Tressa Pope, but I don't really know the name of her company. So by just keeping my company out of the conversation, that's really what builds the brand.
What is the biggest misconception you think homebuyers have when they enter the market and look to buy a house?
Biggest misconception is that um, everything can be found on Zillow. I think that a lot of people just really lean heavily on what's available online. So I think that's kind of the biggest misconceptions. Also, first-time home buyers, one of the things that really blocks them is they believe you have to have 20% down. So
isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
That I would agree. That's such a big misconception because you don't need but 3% down, 0% down, 3%, 5%, 10%, other options.
Yeah, a lot of people. I just talked to someone the other day. I had lunch with someone who said, "What? You don't need 20%?" They had been prolonging their interest in getting into the market until they had 20%.
Is most your business coming to you referred by consumers or by real estate agents or by other professionals?
I'd say 50-50 is from my database. So past clients want to refer their friends, family, coworkers. And then the other half would be from business professionals such as real estate agents, CPAs, financial planners, and trust attorneys. So that's kind of the makeup of where my business comes from.
What are the regular activities you have to generate more business, both from consumers and from professionals? What are the kinds of things that you do to make more business happen?
Stay on the phone. Blocking out 1 to 2 hours per day to dial for dollars. So I have a friend of mine calls it gold calling. So instead of cold calling, so staying on the phone and being in touch with my past clients and even past leads. So people that may have not chosen me as their lender, I still stay in touch with them. So they decided to go with another lender. We still give them information. We do annual reviews with them as well to make sure that they have the right mortgage, insurance. They have information for their CPA and their property taxes. And people trust that I'm going to take care of them.
It's interesting. I was talking to an attorney just now, and I do a lot of probate business, and he was describing how it just wears him down talking to the customers because he's an attorney. He's a bulldog. He's great in court. He's great with the filings. And I said, well, I'm the realtor. That's my job, is to talk to them. The 2 or 3 times that you don't, if I talk to them for you and then report back what's going on, I find that to be my job as a real estate professional facing consumers. That's what we do. And it sounds like you do the same thing.
Yeah.
So I'm sure you see a lot of mortgage lenders in the time you've been in the business that have started, and some make it, and you've seen a lot start and many more, I'm sure, not be successful, maybe leave the industry or struggle. What do you see as a common difference between those that make it and those that don't?
That's a good question. I'd say that the people that are successful and really make it are the ones that continue to not be complacent. So they're always striving to build their business. They're not at a point where, oh, I've made enough money, or I've now gotten enough business that I can sort of let it ride. They're actively still trying to develop new relationships, find new sources of business, and really reinvent themselves over and over and over. The people that we see exit are those that thought that this one thing that they were doing was going to sustain their business for the long term, instead of being agile and adaptive.
It's so true. I said with real estate agents as well, that it's never the right niche or program. It's constantly adding niches, programs, refining, improvements, never-ending quest to be better and do more. It's not one thing. It's really a daily habit of systems and procedures to improve things. Well, that's fantastic. So Tressa, obviously here we are in 2024, kind of wild time. We have, economic changes going on. We have, rates just went above 7%, at the end of the day, Friday. We have an upcoming election. We have saber rattling of potential wars around the world. What do you see? You're obviously a businesswoman as well that has to make decisions on where to invest your time and money. What do you see for 2024 looking for the rest of the year business-wise?
Business-wise, we're seeing a lot of activity with people wanting to explore buying a home. So it's really starting to get busy. People, I think, in the last few years have now faced the music that those interest rates of the 2s and 3s are gone. And so they were holding out for something they're not going to see again. So they've now decided to, dust off their shoes and enter back into the market. So so it's an exciting time. We're also seeing lenders come out with new and exciting programs where they're trying to help people get into the market. So we're seeing more down payment assistance options. We're seeing things where they're being creative with the interest rate. So we're seeing things that are a temporary buy down, where you can have a lower interest rate temporarily for the first 1 to 3 years. So lenders are trying to be creative in finding ways to get people into homes, with the affordability issue being such a factor nationwide.
Well, I think you would say also, though, that those programs, it's not there's any one program that's the best. It's which is the best program for you. And the more tools in your toolbox, the more likely you are to find the right tool to get people what they want out of their situation.
It's very true. It's very true. When I first started in 2015 as a loan officer, because I was from operations, my whole network of people were just other loan officers.
Right.
So I didn't really know who to call to build my database. So I started with them. I started by calling just other loan officers and finding deals that maybe they either didn't want to do or couldn't do. And that's where I started. So from there, that just gave me this toolkit of, like you said, Bill, really finding what program would fit that individual person, because there's just so many different options out there.
Well, I saw you interviewed online, and when I reached out to you, you're very easy to talk to. Obviously, this is an intimate situation. It's really important to have somebody you feel comfortable with. Tress, I really appreciate your time today. I know that you have a website, TressaPope.com, TRESSA Pope, POPE.com. Is that the best place where people can reach you?
Yeah, that's the best place. That's my Instagram as well, is @Tressa Pope. So if you search for Tressa Pope, you'll find me.
Fantastic. Well, I'm glad I did. Glad I had a chance to chat with you today and share you with my audience. And thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Bill, for having me.